Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Trading Market Technicals morning call video for Friday, June 29th. Last day of the month, last day of the quarter. So we should see some window dressing, which we've really been seeing pretty much from the Monday lows. The market kind of drifted up last couple of days, and then we had a gap down lower yesterday morning early, and then we had one big push lower, and we pretty much chopped around most of the day. And this goes to show you how dangerous this market could be if you're not on your toes. We were basically down about 150, 60 points in the Dow, and right up in this area, Merkel comes out. Chancellor Merkel, they're at the EU summit, states that she's canceling her press interview for later on this evening, which was last night, early morning hours for their dinner. And sure enough, that little cancellation brought in some sort of speculation that that something was resolved out of Europe, and look at what happened. Incredible. So if you're short and you realize, hey, I'm short and I'm wrong, I mean, if depending on what you were doing in the market, but if you really look at it, if you kind of really were wrong right up in this area here, you knew you had to get out short at the end of the day. So, I mean, this is just insane. Look at the volume coming in. I'll tell you, I think a lot of market participants wants to see this thing resolved and put behind us because the market does not like uncertainty. So this is what you get. You get a big move up. Now, it just goes to show that the dinner was a success overnight, and the EU put out a big statement, which I'll put on the morning call email. They had basically said that the EU statement stated that we are committed to financial stability, and that's all you needed to hear. And the markets literally just gapped up in overnight session. Now we're up 15 handles in the S&P minis, so pretty insane market movement, all driven by headline news, which gives you headline risk. So use caution out there. We're not looking to take on any positions, unless it's warrant. I mean, you really need to understand the type of trading, what's going on right now. Look at what this is. I put a 10-minute chart over on the S&P. This is the week. Gap lower on Monday, sold off, marked them low, drifted higher on no volume, sold off again on Thursday, had a double bottom, and then we rallied into the close, paired most of the losses. So pretty amazing stuff. So anyway, I wanted to just kind of get that out and try to see what was happening here, just to show you guys. Pretty insane. Everything is based on what's going on in Europe. Totally. So I just wanted to get that out to you. Today is the last day of the month, so I do think that window dressing is probably going to be the course again. So if you, I would imagine going into a long weekend. So speaking of going into a long weekend, we're going to have a full day Friday, full day Monday, and Tuesday's a half a day. So I would imagine that trading is going to be extremely light next week, probably non-existent. And pretty much dangerous if if you get caught into a trade here. So caution is definitely warranted going into next week. Let's take a look at the dollar here. Dollar had this bull flag I drew last week, and we actually almost tested the highs here at a double top. 83.05 would really solidify a double top in this area, but it doesn't mean it couldn't be an M pattern here now shaping up after this bull flag. So we're going to be interested to see the dollar's down. The dollar is down this morning. Obviously, risk on. Dollar weak, and all the other risk catalysts and the risk currencies and trades and commodities will be higher this morning, at least in the opening. It's going to be interesting to see if they fade them during the early opening, and or if they can sustain and hold up. My guess is that more than likely comes in a little bit, but nobody's going to be selling any stock anytime soon. Be interesting to see what happens at the end of the day, though. I mean, do they take profits, or does the selling resume next week? And between now and the next 2 to 3 weeks, seasonality is that it's a pretty bullish time of the of July, and then it gets pretty, and then the selling really starts to pick up towards the middle of the end of July, going into the end of the summer. And then we have that, seasonality rally that usually take place somewhere October, November, December. So anyway, longer term picture, but something to keep an eye on. Dollar needs to really be addressed, and we really need to watch what the dollar does here. So you could see here, the dollar, the bull flag is panning out, working out pretty well. Let's take a look at risk. Now this is a great gauge of risk here. We have the risk aversion, right? We have this Russell and S&P. All right, now this is basically a chart here that kind of indicates you have a risk-on, risk-off type environment, and I'll tell you what, they are accumulating risk-on type atmosphere here. If you could see the Russell and the S&P, this is actually moving to the upside, where you had risk aversion all come in here February, March, April, May, and then now looks like we might have a little bit of a bottom here. So that's something interesting I wanted to show you. Real quick, let's take a look at some of the indicators. This is the bullish percent ENER, which is the bullish percent energy. I mentioned to you earlier in the week about USO. Watch the golds. I'm sorry. Watch the coal stocks. Watch some of the fertilizer stocks, and they did actually well. They did okay, but again, for me, not much that I would be interested in taking on a little bit of risk for. If anything, would be a little bit of a trade during the day, and then probably be flat at the end of the day. But this is something that we still need to look for a trade going into next week, maybe the week after. Still needs to carve out a base here, but look at you could see how we have a 5-day EMA, okay, sort of a momentum moving average. Still trying to hook up here. So that's something that I'm going to be continuing to take a look at. Take a look at the, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Let's take a look at the NYMO. Not much to say here. We are drifting up in overboard territory. Now, I would say that the NYMO would be right up in here if we stay at these levels into the close today. So now we're going to be in overboard territory and looking for probably some sort of a pullback going into next week. Bar chart momentum index. We were in oversold area here. Anything below 99, 98 in this area. This area here would indicate, but we actually came back up again. So now we're pretty much sort of neutral in this area. So if the NYMO can read overboard, and then this bar chart momentum index can be up in this 101, 101.5 area here, then you got a real good setup on the short side actually transpiring here. So something that we're going to be looking at the end. I'm going to be following at the end of the day to see where these indicators close. Let's take a look at going to the charts, and we have the spider chart here. Now this is interesting, right? We're back above the 20-day. We actually, the bulls were saved yesterday by that heavy volume. I mean, now this is something that I'd like to see start to capitalize on, and then we can really start looking for at least taking on some risk here to test the highs in this area. But this is nice. This is really nice yesterday at the end of the day. So remember, guys, we were down all day, and this was only this volume bar only came in the last 15, 20 minutes of the day. So really whipped the longs and the shorts around yesterday. But again, we're above the 20-day, so it's nice to see. Now this, I posted a chart, I believe it was the beginning of the week. We had an inverted head and shoulders, which is a bullish pattern, price pattern. Now if we have our neckline right up in here, we did break out, and then we roll back to back test, which usually happens. I said I don't want to get past the right shoulder, which we absolutely stayed right in this area, and we held. Now we're forming this little move back higher. So this could actually, this is still valid, as long as it didn't take out that right shoulder. I wouldn't want to get any deeper than that. But nonetheless, we are here and we rallied higher, so we should gap up this morning and be back on that line. So this is still a valid pattern, and you're talking 127, 133. So you're looking at least additional 5 points from here. It comes out to around 138. So 138.5 somewhere in this area here would validate. This is where the price objective would be on an inverted head and shoulder. So something to keep an eye on. Remember, guys, now this is a 60-minute chart. The longer term picture it looks pretty ugly as of now. Doesn't have to. We have, as you know, we have descending triangles. We have head and shoulders pattern on most of the risk indices. So this is not a good sign. But again, it needs to trigger to validate those patterns. So this market could rally up higher and then actually sell off later on because it is a longer term chart. So just keep that in mind, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the diamonds, which is the proxy for the Dow Jones. Again, above the 20-day, volume coming in. Now we're seeing we're unwinding our overboughtness here from all of a good part of June. And now we're sitting in this corner and it's right above the 20-day. They're all consistent, very much the same. Q's really a lackluster day. That's really not what you want to see when everybody else is participating to the upside. So this needs to be watched closely. Do we have a little bit of divergence? We're going to keep an eye on that as well. Now the transports, as you know, we're leaders. There are leaders of the indices that we follow. Big candle up, some volume. I like that. MACD starting to curl. We need to see if it can roll back up again. And then here, I'd like to see it start to curl right here instead of going all the way back down to this 20 area. Then we can have something, maybe a higher low from this little area here, and then we can get some momentum and take this little area out, maybe above the 50-day moving average, and that possibly can happen today. So this is a good sign, another good sign that maybe momentum is changing to the upside. Now, again, the EU summit leaders are finishing their summit today, so it will be interesting to see what happens. Now, once we get that out of the way and everything is okay again, do they rally them or do they just sell into that? That's going to be really what the key is. If this market can hold up in the next day or two, next 2 trading days, then I could say, hey, you know what, we have risk on maybe for another week or so, and then they probably would look to take profits and sell again. So again, here IWMs, real nice. At least they're above the 220. Big volume, something that's really interesting I'd like to see. And look at this. Now, this is made the higher low, and I mentioned to you on the Russell and the S&P SPX, the ratio chart that they're buying, and this is a clear example of stochastic never even got down this far. And we haven't even rolled over in the Russell, so I do think that there might be a beeline shot to at least test the highs here after we get through the weekend and everybody comes back to work from the holiday. Okay, real quick, I just wanted to show you last chart, USO. This is something really to keep an eye on, guys. I think we have a good trade coming in the USO. Again, you had a couple of good days, bounce, a nice little bounce, low volume. So I didn't take it because again, I want to see a little bit more conviction, but I am watching the thing closely. Another good chart I want to show you, ACI, which is the coal stocks, and as you can see here, daily chart. Look at the price action here in the last couple of days. It went down to 531. And the last 2 days rallied over $1. Now that's really something good. We had this bear flag, test the 20-day moving average, excuse me, and now we're above it. So if this can hold, I would say the next pullback is definitely buyable. Your stops would be down here at 530. Just another little trade idea. These are what I'm watching. Some of the coal stocks, some of the beaten down sectors, AK Steel, maybe the steel, coal stocks, and energy. Keep an eye on those for a nice little play to the upside if risk continues to stay on. All right, guys, have a great day today. Enjoy the weekend. It's going to be hot. It should be nice this weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday. Take care.